Hi guys, today's video is all about distance in the relationship. And often I get the questions, I really miss my spouse, what's happened? Or, we've gotten to the point where there's so much distance, we feel like we're just friends, and how do we repair that? Or really just help, there's so much distance in our relationship and we don't know what to do. So I wanted just to kind of give you a few tips on how to create connection in the relationship and what are some ways you can turn towards one another and really celebrate the relationship and find ways to explore new parts of who you are, whether you've been dating for a year or you've been married for 15 years. So first, let's really talk about the research behind making emotional bids for connection. Dr. John Gottman has really talked a lot about how we can turn towards and connect to our partner and the importance of it. He uses the term either turning towards, it's in his Sound Relationship House, or he also uses the term creating emotional bids for connection. And what he found is that couples who are able to make a bid and connect, or if they miss it, they go back and repair it, stay together. And if there's a buildup of making a bid and missing it or not acknowledging it at all, so he calls that turning towards or turning away or turning against, then we create this, I'm going to make a bid, I turn away or turn against, I make a bid, my partner turns away or turns against, I make a bid, my partner turns away or turns against, and then guess what? I stop making bids. And so all of a sudden there is this space that's starting to build up between the couple. And a lot of times it goes unnoticed, or it's one of those things where like it doesn't feel very good, but you don't talk about it. And to me, that's the other thing that creates a lot of distance in the relationship is when we conflict avoid. So we know there's an issue on the table and yet we choose not to talk about it because we're afraid of conflict or we don't want to stir the pot. And so what happens is that discomfort that starts to grow, the irritation starts to grow, we get frustrated, we don't feel heard, we don't feel understood, and we're just sitting on all of that, and then all of a sudden there is an explosion. And that can be very external or it can be very internal, but what happens is that we start to create negative comparisons, and Dr. Gottman talks about those too, is we start to negatively compare our relationship or a spouse or partner to other people. And that again creates a huge distance. And just negative thinking plagues your relationship. And so it's like this weed that you have one weed and then all of a sudden you have a whole garden full of weeds. And you really want to learn how to address feeling distant or disconnected in the relationship. So there's a few things, and I know I've talked about these in other videos before, but this is really important. It's how do we create rituals of connection? What are the ways that we nurture the relationship every day? He says, Dr. Gottman says, small things often. What are the small ways that we nurture the relationship? And, it's little things like talking about how good dinner is and really having that conversation, or it could be big things like talking about your hopes and dreams, or, a bid for sex, or creating a plan together of how you want to get out of debt. It's a lot of things, and I know those are bigger conversations, but it really is, what are the small ways that you nurture your relationship? And if you make a bid, how do you how are you making the bids, and how are you connecting when your partner makes a bid? And if you miss it, how do you go back and repair? So I think it's, rituals of connection. I tell couples to do little check-ins. How are we doing today? It could be something simple like tell me the time that you felt the most joy today and tell me the time that you felt the most frustrated. It could also be Gottman's 6-second kiss. Within 6 seconds it leads to greater intimacy. Partings and greetings, Gottman talks about how we say goodbye at the beginning of the day and how we say hello at the end of the day. And again, remember, it's just coming together. And I get that we're all busy, but these things, they don't take a lot of time, but they are so important in your relationship. So remember to do that. Words of appreciation, letting your partner know how much you appreciate them. Even doing that every day is so important. So those are rituals of connection. I would also suggest that you create space for a date night or a date night in, whatever works depending on your relationship. It's not only finding small ways to connect to one another every day, it's also creating bigger rituals of a date night. And again, that could, if all you've got is a date night every 2 weeks or once a month, that's okay. It's a ritual that you guys are both committing to and that you're participating in. So, making sure that you're doing that. One of the best resources, and it's a brand new book Gottman's written, is called 8 Dates, 8 Essential Conversations for a Lifetime of Love. And I love this book because it really talks about how to go on a date with your partner and how to create meaningful conversations. So I highly recommend this book. If you don't have it, go out and get it today and read it with your spouse or partner. It will make a huge difference in your relationship. You can even make that a ritual. And then the other thing that I find is important is how you take care of yourself. And when you are able to participate in the things that make you come to life, that make you smile, that bring joy in your life, guess what? You bring that back to the relationship. So when you take care of yourself, you're also taking care of the relationship. And when you take care of the relationship, you also take care of yourself. So it's a kind of a combo deal. So I tell couples it's important to identify the balance of independence and togetherness in your relationship and how you celebrate both, how you celebrate time together and how you celebrate time away. And what you're doing in that independent time that's really refueling and re-energizing you and how you're bringing that back to the relationship. All right, guys, so these are just some quick tips on how to repair the distance in your relationship. And there are other things that do create distance in the relationship. And, when we notice that's happening or when we notice that there's a lot of distance and we start those negative comparisons and we start to grow farther and farther apart, that's a time that I really do recommend that you call a therapist and get in there and find out what's going on and how to come back together and create a healthy relationship. So I'll put a link to Psychology Today in there, so if you want to look for a therapist in your area, I highly recommend that. I'll also put a link for the 8 dates for you to go out and buy. So please, again, go over what are your rituals of connection, date night, words of appreciation, the balance of independence and togetherness, and how you're taking care of yourself is really important. So have a great day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for weekly updates all about relationships.